A couple of times. They were up to no good.
Started making it.
Okay, we're recording.
Cool. All right, what up, everybody? This is Dean,
This is Dre.
And Mr. Christopher List.
and you are listening to the 5 o'clock hustle. Who knows what we're going to talk about today, but we're just going to flow with this. So I have a question for everybody. What did you eat today that was interesting to you? Because
Interesting?
or delicious, or I don't even remember what I ate.
I ate
personally.
two things today, and they were terrible. One was a Reuben-style sandwich from Subway.
Oh, I've been waiting to try that for. Okay,
Barf?
I see. It looks like plastic. It literally looks like plastic.
Okay, so I ate that, and then the other one.
What was wrong with it?
It was just.
Barf?
You shouldn't be eating Reubens from Subway.
Nah, bro.
You got
You're gonna-
Jerry's. You got
You're gonna
Mort's,
take.
you
You're gonna
got-
take my Reuben and you're gonna throw it in a convection oven. You're gonna melt the cheese on it and then throw some 3-day-old sauerkraut on top of it. I don't like it. What just happened?
I just lost.
Yep, there it
it's
is.
back. Okay, cool.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, you had what else?
Oh, and I had lunch on my way home, which is never a good thing when you're driving and eating. But they shut down the 118 in the valley both
Because
ways.
we on fire.
Because everything is on fire.
Everything is on fire.
So I had to get a road quesadilla from Chipotle, and they don't cut it for you. So they gave me this little plastic knife. And I got my little plastic knife, and I cut my little, because they won't cut it for you at Chipotle.
You just gotta fold it and taco it at that
I
point.
couldn't.
We talk about eating in the car. I eat in the car. I eat my breakfast every morning on the way to work.
really?
Actually, yeah.
What do
My
you
wife, well, literally the same thing, the same boring shit every day.
Is
But
it,
doesn't hurt my
is it
stomach.
a road quesadilla?
It's not a road quesadilla. It's not a plastic Reuben. It is like roasted potatoes with a little bit of garlic, a little bit of thyme, rosemary.
And you use a fork.
I don't use shit. I use my hands.
Okay.
Like a bow.
Because I could just
So-
see you with your knees up.
No, I do. I drive with the knees. I'm sitting there with the knees, and then I'm kind of looking. I'm kind of not. I usually text. My dad used to piss while he was driving, and text. He didn't have text back then. Let's forget about the dad thing.
He used to piss.
He used to pee in a big gulp cup
I've done
while
that.
he was driving. No, it was like every time he drove. It was
like-
more of like
it
a
was-
happy thought.
He had like a
It was
designated big gulp.
habitual. Like whenever he was driving, he just really
Yeah,
had
no,
to
he
pee,
really had to
and
pee.
it had to be in a big.
Yeah, rocking the Cherokee. So I had potatoes, I had turkey sausage, and I had an overdone egg that was gonna be medium. But I asked for it to be. I asked my wife because she made my breakfast this morning. but-
Your special chef.
My special chef, yeah, Jacques, and that was delicious. What? Oh, my company actually brought in Habit.
Oh, that's
That was delicious. I really like the Habit. I think
yeah.
it got
The
some good
Habit
stuff.
is a polarizing kind of hamburger place. I don't
like
know
it.
anyone that doesn't like it, but I hear of people who don't like it.
I don't know who those people are.
They're fucking stupid. Yeah, and it was free, so you can't.
Oh,
not
yeah.
like
Well,
that.
anything free tastes
To be
10 times
honest,
better.
and this for all the Californians, this is probably pretty controversial. But In-N-Out to me is fucking standard.
Oh,
as
bro, you're
balls.
tripping.
Am
You
I
are
allowed to say his
tripping.
balls on our podcast?
It's our podcast. Say whatever the fuck you want to say.
I just feel real weird about saying balls, right?
That's
Because
fine.
balls, because like fucking, but balls?
Yeah, it's intimate.
I said balls a lot.
Speaking of balls, what I had to eat
I'm
today.
pretty sure I'm going to use up all my ball talk
That's good.
in this
All right,
intro.
Dre, well, then I had we went to Drafts, which is a local bar around here.
Love that place.
And we got a huge plate of chicken nachos, and it was full of jalapeno. And I have a
that's
sensitive stomach, so
what
I
that
had a
smell
rough aftermath. No, it doesn't make me fart.
I
It
can
just
no,
makes my shit hurt.
I can no longer eat jalapenos
Oh
for that
man,
same
I
reason.
love jalapenos.
Just what did you eat, Dre?
You're welcome, everyone.
So I am on for the past 30 days, I've been on like a vegetarian / pescatarian thing going on. 90-day challenge I'm doing with my family, but
So you eat only goat.
only I eat only
Which is
veggies.
pescado in Spanish.
Pescatarian fish, seafood. So the interesting thing I had today was a fucking chicken sandwich from Wendy's because I had nothing.
That is a fish of the land.
Yeah, fish of the pasture.
I don't usually eat chicken
No, but
sandwiches, but when
I
I do,
was kind of in a pinch, like busy at work. Wife was at home with the kid because obviously the fires and everything. and we were trying to get him to go to sleep, but he was yelling for chicken nuggets, and I'm like, I don't want to go get him McDonald's because fuck McDonald's. So I was like, well, let's go to Wendy's. It's that much better. They didn't have a fish option, so I got a chicken sandwich because I was fucking hungry. So
Okay.
chicken, and then when I got home tonight for dinner, made the wife and the son. I made the wife ground turkey tacos. I made the son cheese quesadilla, and I had shrimp tacos. I made like the little breaded shrimp or whatever. Made like the little coleslaw with the.
Your hand gestures are incredible.
I'm sorry.
It's like
The
you're playing a food piano.
I made the little spicy coleslaw that you get at Snapper Jacks.
Okay,
You know what I'm talking
yeah.
like the little Snapper Jacks.
Snapper
sauce?
Jacks is great. Anybody
Oh my
ever goes
gosh,
1,000
so
Oaks,
good.
Snapper Jacks.
And then
Hard shell only though.
little refried beans, hard shell. I made my own hard shell, and I had some fucking shrimp tacos. It's fantastic.
Well, all this talk is
And I also
making
ate balls.
making me very hungry for a podcast.
Yeah.
So
Let's do it.
talk real quick about the podcast that we all had with the three of us.
Yeah.
When when I was introduced,
it was your first episode,
my first episode,
and I
was
think
a
it was one of our
virgin.
best episodes.
It was our best episode.
Hands Dean.
Hands Dean.
Hands
Hands
Dean.
Dean. That'd be a Steve said.
Hands Dean.
So what did we discuss? What are we
Well, we
gonna
talked about
discuss?
you a lot.
Yeah.
Because
about
we
me.
want everyone to be introduced to you because like we haven't recorded a lot of podcasts, but this is your first one, so we want the audience to get to know Dean and what he's all about, and we got to hear a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
a lot of really cool
we
stuff.
wanted people to hear your story outside of you being a host, and I think that was very important because Chris and I obviously we're not interviewing. We interviewed each other, but we haven't really dove that deep into
Right. Yeah.
who we are, what we do.
Maybe we
type
should
thing.
do that in the future.
We probably should, and
Or not. I don't
this
need
next
that.
part. No, I'm just-
I don't need any
but
of
we
that.
wanted people to know who you were, as opposed to just saying, "Hey, here's this new guy that's going to be on our
Yeah.
podcast." And I think that it was very beneficial because you have a lot of insight to bring to the podcast and just in business and for the 5 o'clock hustler. So they got a solid bit of advice and just and knowledge on things that they do, and they also got introduced to our brand new host. So I think it was a good one.
We
man.
talked about crackers towards the end, so you're gonna have a very detailed account.
Oh, that's right. We talked about how to
start a
start a
cracker
business.
company.
I mean, really, how to start a company like from the ground up, just with an idea. That was cool.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Take
Cool
down
little
Nabisco.
exercise. Take down Operation Destroy
Nabisco.
Nabisco.
Operation Nabisco.
No, but I think it was a very good podcast,
Yeah.
man. We, like I said, one of our
Yeah, we're
best,
very-
our best one.
We're very fortunate to now have you as a third host
man.
of the 5 o'clock Hustle podcast,
This is
happy to be here.
exciting,
and
This
it's
is
gonna
exciting.
be real fun.
No, it's gonna be real cool. You guys are really gonna like the episode and the future episodes because Dean's part of the squad now.
Yeah, and take a listen and let us know what you think. Go to our website and you can leave comments over on the blog page and on the episode page. Follow us on the social media, and we hope you enjoy the episode. 5 o'clock hustle.
5 to 8, 5 to 12, 5 to 3 until you get back up the next morning, man.
Every week I got a new idea. Like, why did it take us so long to do this? 5 o'clock.
I was doing that in 2005, but everybody thought it was weird.
5 o'clock.
Oh man, that's awesome.
5 o'clock hustle podcast. Man, they're having so much fun.
So you should have done it more stealth-like, because now I know it's.
I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything at all. Why are you sitting like that, Chris?
He's like, dude, why are you walking? Why are you rocking?
Whoa.
Hey, why are you
Whoa,
rocking?
who's that? Who's that other guy?
Hello? Hello? Who?
There's a different voice on there.
Who's a stranger
Hello?
speaking into the microphone?
Hello?
Hey everybody. I'm just gonna fucking
You do this
Jump
every
it.
time.
I'm just gonna no. I you know what? I've relaxed my whole thing. I'm dropping F-bombs. Not giving a
Why
fruit.
not, bro? Why?
Not giving a fruit.
Dropping a fruit bomb.
So if you see me,
Dropping that
I'm not
fruit bomb.
stuttering. I'm not dropping the ball here when I'm dropping an F-bomb. I'm making a point right
It is
now.
a calculated,
and emphasis.
calculated.
Anyways,
F-bomb.
Dre and I are here again, obviously, but today we have a new person here, and his name is Dean Scott, a good friend of ours.
Welcome to the show, Dean.
Say hi, Dean.
Hi, Dean. Oh, yeah.
Anyways,
hey, how's it going?
Hey, how's it going? But yeah, we asked Dean to come on because he's a good friend of ours, and he's obviously very smart. Otherwise, we wouldn't be friends with him. And
we wouldn't bring him on the show unless we were just trying to prove how smart we are. But it's probably going to make us seem a little dumber.
I'm here. It's cool.
So Dean, what do you think about being on a podcast?
I don't even know what a podcast is, to be honest with you, which
It's like
I think is.
it's an internet radio show.
It's internet radio.
I mean, if you put it that way, it sounds pretty neat.
Well, welcome to
always-
5 o'clock hustle, man. We're glad you came.
Appreciate it.
Tell the world a little something about yourself.
I'm sitting here at 5 o'clock hustle, but it's 9 o'clock.
That's right.
That's the real hustle.
The hustle don't stop
That's
after
the-
5
Well,
o'clock.
it took me 4 hours to set up the microphone. But yeah, Dean, we've known Dean since high school. We met him in Oak Park, California.
Go Eagles.
And he's always been one of those people that I've wanted to talk to, anything related to business and, even relationships and stuff like that.
Oh.
But mainly business. He's probably one of more, he's a go-getter. He's worked forever. I feel like he's kind of been like in our close knit group of friends. He's always been on the ball.
He's been the one that kind of
He got us all jobs.
he got us, man. Let me tell you. Yeah, no, Dean's the guy who would like. Am I not close enough?
Oh,
There you go.
close enough.
Okay.
I'm waving you in.
But anyway, Dean was always the guy who was, like Chris said, he was always out there looking for the next thing, working his butt off on the thing that he's doing, but constantly progressing. And while a lot of us were kind of in limbo and figuring it out, Dean was like, I'm just out here getting after it. And he was just always the get after it guy. So
But let me tell you why. Here's the secret.
yeah.
It's because I was scared. I was scared out of my fucking mind.
What does that even mean?
Because
What were you
I
scared
grew
of?
up with living with my mom and my sister in a single bedroom apartment where I would walk outside or look outside at night and watch our car getting robbed or broken into and our stereo being stolen. So I was like, I can't do this anymore. So there was no. I heard is this a burp?
It was like a weird throat thing. I don't know what that was. I'm so sorry.
brought to you by Zevia Burps.
The reason you met me in Oak Park was because we moved from Chatsworth to Oak Park because we were living in I was actually the condo was pretty chill in
Sure.
Chatsworth.
Well,
but-
I work in Chatsworth now.
yeah,
so
no,
I
it's
know the area.
changed a lot. Like it's nicer, but we moved because I was. No, that's all right. It was okay. I almost got killed.
We have a I almost died.
Talk about it.
But I moved because I was getting into so many fights because I was
Sure.
just an angry kid. But I was also, like I said, I was scared. So the reason that I was able to get you jobs at the Canyon Club when we were all 16 was because
the hot concert venue in our area.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the House of Blues, but in Agora, and it's really dirty.
And not so
Sorry,
much
Lance.
blues. Not so much blues.
But it's because at 15 and a half, I was out there getting a job.
Sure.
And I actually started, I started selling stuff at 3 years old at the Valencia swap meet.
There you go.
And I would run around pulling people to our little sheet on the ground, and I would try to sell them like jewelry or toy cars or whatever crap.
Nice.
At 7, I would go downtown with my mom and buy pieces for jewelry, and put together like a chain and a silly little trinket or something, and run around to women trying to sell it to them, and they thought I was cute, so they would buy it.
So we just bought it.
Thus, my sales technique.
That's still how you do
Yeah,
it.
I mean,
Right.
when I was, it's still how I do it. When I was 13, my dad had a company selling hard drives called HDA, and I would answer phones and sell hard drives for him.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of always been in my blood, but it was only recently that I realized that it was just because I was running from like being scared that I wouldn't be okay, that we wouldn't have food,
Right.
that I wouldn't have something like that, to where now it's just a lifestyle. To where I just am constantly trying to build and make sure that everyone around me is also safe and nobody has to be scared.
Right.
But when I was growing up, it was like I was scared.
Sure, yeah. And like, what was it like moving? Because like Chatsworth and Oak Park, where we all went to high school, is like they're pretty different places.
Yeah.
Even though they're
about
only
20 minutes different, but like worlds apart. At the same time.
Like, what was that transition like? Like, because you say you're scared, but when you go to this place where people are just kind of like unaware, because like to be honest, like I was actually thinking about this today. I was like, Dean's the only like native like Californian, and like I was like, hey, that's a differentiation like that, like we could maybe explore, but like where we all ended up, like it was all different from where we actually grew up.
Yeah,
if that makes any
that's
sense.
true. Yeah.
But I'm just wondering, like, what was that like? Because for me, like, I have my own story, and I'm sure Dre does too. But like, you're talking about like being, like you had fears of, what you just described. What was it like coming here to a place that was not as
Scary.
Rough.
Well, my fear changed from making it to fitting in.
Sure.
So it's like at one point you're running because people are chasing you, and then the next time you're running because everyone's faster than you.
Yeah.
So it changes the entire environment of what you're dealing with. I mean, I came from a place like we would sit out, in Chatsworth, you'd sit out at the huge middle yard,
Right.
and there'd be like the white kids over here and the Vietnamese kids over here and the Koreans and the Mexicans and the blacks and the whatever other colored people there was around.
Yeah.
And then you go to a park and it's like everyone is
only
white. And then
Right.
we had Dre,
just Lily,
which is super cool.
just
I was like,
Lily
oh,
white.
thank God. Like I was wearing FUBUs before Dre
He's
was.
like, are you from Chatsworth? Are you from Chat? No, I'm from Houston. But close enough.
No, it's my guy. But so it changes it changed the game.
Yeah.
But it's still it was still a challenge,
Sure.
Now,
Not as scary though. It was,
Now, kind of, so like Chris was alluding to, we all kind of come from our own backgrounds, and similar to me, I grew up in Houston, Texas, in a rough part, but at the same time, we were always moving. So it was from one rough part to the next rough part to the next rough part. So from like first grade to fifth grade, I wasn't at the same school,
Sure.
for 2 years in a row, but then I moved to Oak Park, and I'm just there from seventh grade to graduation,
Yeah.
And so for me, the difference was, it wasn't necessarily so much I was afraid of, kind of how you alluded to with you're running past everyone, and then the next time, people are running past you. For me, it was more of the, like, this is too good to be true, but I want to keep working to make sure that this is actually something I can, keep a hold of. So was that a little bit of the play in yours as well as,
Yeah, no, it's perfectly put. I always term it like fake it till you make it.
Right.
And that's exactly what happened. It's like you're flung into this environment where everyone's successful.
Right.
Like you can't live in Oak Park unless you're successful.
Sure.
Literally everyone that goes to that school, unless they started busing kids in at some point in the last 5 years or 10 years, which I don't think is the case, you're successful.
Sure.
That or you're faking it.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you have to rise to the occasion. You have to, you end up liking that. Like you said, like you're sitting around looking around like, oh my God, everyone has green lawns and nice houses and pretty wives. And you're like, I want that.
Right.
Sure.
I want to have, a good life like all these people, like
Exactly.
I'm faking it right now. So that's like, why not jump into as many jobs as you can?
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. And it was crucial meeting Dean, man, because it kind of changed the trajectory of our trajectory. It kind of changed the upward motion of our group. I think because, like you said, you were getting us all jobs, you were, all this. But I think more than that, it was the social aspect. Because like in Oak Park, it's a very small,
Right.
town, and you kind of just get used to what you know there. And even just driving down Canaan Road and going to the Canyon Club, there was a group of a bunch of different people that you're like,
Yeah, it's
so it
so
kind
strange.
of like that was like networking for us in a sense, because you meet people that are different from you, different walks of life. Like even though Dean is from a different walk of life, you and I are from a different walk of life. Like we kind of all did the same thing in that city, but you go like 5 minutes down the road and everybody's from a different place. There are 30-year-olds there who have been there for 20 or for not 20 years, but for like 10 years or whatever the case may be. But it kind of opened us more up to different people, becoming friends with different groups of people as opposed to the people that we were with. So I think that kind of benefited us in a way because it led us to want to explore out of this place that we were
that makes complete sense.
Trying to grasp on.
Yeah, because when you talk about that, I keep thinking about Westlake High School and Agora and all those like other schools that were literally walking distance away from our own.
Right.
And until like that kind of period, I didn't know anyone outside our small tiny school.
Bubble.
It's so weird. It's like we had a bunch of bubbles. Like
They call it a
surrounded
bubble,
one
right? They call
another.
Oak Park a bubble.
Yeah. Well, doesn't everyone call their small town a bubble though?
Probably.
Pretty much. But I mean, in Oak Park, I'm sure is no different from, a rich small town in Chicago. You know what I'm saying? And there's always the outlying cities and things like
weird
that.
hot dogs there.
That's true. I forgot about anybody who eats those. No, I'm just playing. But I just think it's very interesting, man, just how we all come from different places. And Dean, a little closer, but how, like I was saying, Chatsworth is even still worlds apart from Oak Park, and like kind of how we all came together from being outsiders.
Great
technically.
baseball team.
Like
Great baseball team.
Oh man, Museborn used to kill it. He was the coach.
Okay, so we talked about our humble beginnings in Oak Park, California. I kind of want to get into you did all these jobs, working at the Candy Club, but after high school, like you worked at Candy Club for a while after high school.
I worked there for 10 years in total. Yeah.
So just walk us through your journey from graduation day, with the Canning Club and everything else, but like with school and everything, because you've taken the most kind of traditional without with you are different in the fact that you worked your ass off all the way through it. So you're not like the typical person who graduated high school, went off to wherever, for 4 years and then boom, job. Like you worked the whole way through. But I just want you to walk us through that whole process because I mean I kind of know, but like I kind of like I'm interested in that whole journey. I guess.
So from graduation, as far as I'll kind of mix in school and work because that's the only way it makes sense. After graduating from Oak Park, I started at Moore Park College. And at that point, I was only working at the Canyon Club.
Harvard on the Hill.
That's right. Hey, man, the place has the hottest chicks.
Boom. No, we all did it. They crank them out. They crank kids out of that place.
Killing that place. So I was there for 2 years while I was working at the Canyon Club, and then I would also sometimes get another job too. So I would be working in the Canyon Club, going to school at Moore Park, and then sometimes another serving or bartending job if I could pick one up. And then it was after I finished at Moore Park that I really didn't know what I wanted to do yet. I loved Moore Park. I thought it was some of the best education I've ever received, honestly. But, after that, I didn't really, that's the one thing that community colleges are supposed to lack is career paths.
Right. No.
Whereas there's no counseling. There's not
Trust
the
me,
same
dude.
quality, the same tier. I know you're like the king of Moore Park, but
I'm pretty sure I have a statue there.
But
Van Wilder in that place.
So there's no direction. So I think I didn't understand that, but I definitely understood that I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know why, but so at that point I said, okay, forget school, forget 2 years of anything. I'm just going to work as hard as I possibly can, as much as I possibly can, and do that. Sure. I was like, I'm already making so much money. I mean, I was between 20 and 23, I was making 80 or 90K a year at the Canning Club alone.
That's pretty crazy, man.
Yeah, it was nuts. And I was blowing 75 or 80 of it. I mean, straight up, like I would just buy everyone everything. Like if I had money, everyone around me had money. I didn't care. Like it was just fun for me.
Sure.
I didn't have any overhead. Well, actually at that point I had moved into a house with my sister. We were paying rent and stuff, but I moved out when I was 18. But so for about 2.5 years, I stopped going to school and I just worked at the Canning Club. And I was working at Maggiano's, actually, the Italian chain owned by Brinker, which is awesome. and I was working there as a daytime bartender. So I would work there. I'd get there at, I was promoted really quickly, so I started doing inventory management there too. So I would get there at 7 in the morning, leave there about 4, change in the car on the way to the canning club, get to the canning club at 4:30, work there until 2 in the morning, Thursday through Saturday, and then Sunday would usually be a slower day. But so I'd work Maggiano Monday through Friday, early to mid, and then on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday work the double at the canning club, and I was just making more money than I knew what to do with, which was cool with me.
Yeah.
So eventually, what started happening is I would come home so tired, I would just throw cash into my drawers. So every one of my drawers had massive amounts of cash, and I had no idea like what the hell to do with it. I wasn't even thinking about what to do with it. Actually, now that I look back at it, it's like I didn't care what to do with it. Who cares? As long as I have money and I have a roof over my head, I have food.
You got money. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm literally not concerned about anything. Not my future, not my present. I didn't care. I was just in the zone and I was making money. Having fun, doing whatever else too. So
Yeah.
and at some point, it was actually my sister that came to me and was like, "Hey, I have a friend. Her mom's a real estate agent, and she said we should buy this place in this condo, which ended up being the Met in the Warner Center."
Sure.
And I was like, "Yeah, okay, whatever I got." So she was like, "How much cash can you come up with?" And I looked at my drawers and I was like, "I can come up with like 30 or 40 grand." And she was like, "Okay." So I gave it to her. She filled in, matched it maybe a little bit more, and that was good for a down payment on our condo that we purchased.
Nice.
And that was it. I think I was 23 when we purchased that. And right about that time when we got the condo is when I also realized that I wanted to start learning more. I didn't want to bartend forever, and it had been a long time working doubles and just busted my ass. And at some points, I actually had 3 different jobs. Like, so I'd be working canning clubs sometimes. I'd be working Maggiano's full time. I'd be working at a country club or something also. And it was just like lots of work. Because again, I was just scared that at some point I was just going to run out of money and I'd be living in a 1-bedroom apartment with someone getting robbed outside. So I decided to go back to school. I ended up going to CSUN, and I've always liked law. Probably because my whole family told me I should be a lawyer since I'm Jewish. It was that or an accountant or a doctor, I guess. So
What does that even mean?
It's a thing. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's a thing. I've been trained. So I went to CSUN. I did really well there. I ended up graduating in a couple of years while I was still working 2 jobs while I was going to CSUN. And after that, I got a degree in business administration with a whatever you call it, a side hustle in business law.
Side hustle business law.
That's side hustle minor, bro.
So I thought I wanted to go to law school, but I also am the kind of person who likes to test the waters before jumping all the way in if I can.
Yeah.
Sure.
Especially at that point, I'd started calming down a little bit in my life, and so I figured I'd go to paralegal school, get a certification. So I went to UCLA and went to their paralegal program. There's a fast track program. You can do it in 7 months, I think. So at that point, I would go to UCLA every morning, Monday through Friday, from 7 in the morning to 3. And then I would leave and I would do an internship after that at a law firm called Mitchell, Silberberg, and Knupp, which was an entertainment law firm. That was really neat. Though my internship was like filing, essentially, even though I told everyone it was a law clerk.
Fake it till you make it again.
Yeah, exactly. And then after that, I would go, on some of the days, I'd go work at a country club the rest of the time. And then after that 7 months, I started doing freelance paralegal work, which is not really even a thing. I would just help, people that would kind of be referred to me and help them try to figure out.
How did you
Side hustle alert,
how did
guys.
you
Side
start?
hustle alert.
How did you get that going? I guess.
Well, I was networking with everyone I knew when I was at UCLA, and I graduated at the top of my class at UCLA, or for the certification.
So you're telling all these paralegal people to.
Well, so a paralegal, a freelance paralegal means 2 things. Well, it's supposed to only mean one thing. I made it mean 2 things. It's supposed to mean that you kind of bounce around different law firms, and you help lawyers with the work they're doing, because technically a paralegal can't perform without a lawyer, an attorney
need to have an
overseeing their work.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, it's really like a nurse without a doctor. You can't perform
You know
surgery.
who's a paralegal?
Yeah, doctors, medical
is
assistants.
Meghan Markle, future princess of England.
Did you just call Dean a princess?
Of England.
No, the show Suits. You haven't seen that?
I love Suits.
The girl.
I don't watch it, but I love it.
Oh, what?
The idea is sick.
I love wearing suits.
She is a very nice looking lady. And
Meghan Markle? Is that what you said?
Meghan Markle.
Meghan Muckle.
Marrying, what is it?
Meghan Muggle from
Prince
Harry Potter.
Prince Harry?
Prince Harry Potter.
Prince Harry Potter.
Meghan the Muggle.
King
Full
of
circle. Full circle.
Wizard King.
Filthy blood.
No, so not to interrupt your story, and if you've got more, please go more. But
He's got more.
there's a lot
It's always
in
more.
that story, and I want to just kind of take a sidebar and ask you, this question. So, plenty of jobs you've worked. You mostly in the service industry. Okay, then doing the paralegal, but at the same time going to school, working, doing all these things like that. For me, out of your story, freelance paralegal, I feel like you kind of created that like job for yourself, essentially. So I would think that that's for what we do, 5 o'clock hustle, side hustles and all that stuff. I think that that's the most important. But for you, what would be considered your most important job just along your journey is, within the story that you just told?
Well, let me add about 2 minutes to that story.
Okay.
And then I'll cut back and tell you
Please.
what the most important thing was.
Please.
It'll make more sense. So with that story, did freelance paralegal stuff, ended up helping someone out that kind of threw me into a job as a temporary legal assistant at a company that I had no idea what it was or what they did. And it turns out that, to this day, 5 years later, I'm now running, the legal department and business development for that company. So, it's been a crazy journey. And the reason I wanted to add that part in is because I've had a lot of experience in the last 5 years, but I still actually attribute majority of my successes in business to everything I've done in the service industry.
Really?
Because I think that it gave me all the basic skills and the fundamentals needed to be successful in interpersonal communications and in sales.
Yeah.
So it's, not only are you going and I mean, I also was on the speech team at Moorpark for a little bit.
Day.
Yeah. And it was a lot. I competed.
CSI team?
You did.
CSI team?
Yeah, I competed and it was super cool. But going back to
I just remember. Hold on. I just remember.
that's right.
I just remember D was like, "You should do the speech team with me," and then I did it, and then he just disappeared one day. And there was just me and Kennedy Wilson eating sandwiches in Pasadena at Pasadena City College.
Yeah, I competed
ourselves.
once and scared the life out of me, and that was it.
It was weird, but it was fun.
Yeah, it was fun. But going back to the service industry, the reason I brought up speech is because in the service industry, you learn how to speak to your audience. Mm-hmm. If you have 4 old people sitting at a table that don't have good teeth, you're not going to push prime rib.
Sure.
Of course.
If you have young, 3 young kids that are trying to scrounge on your free bread, you're probably not going to waste your time offering them like a nice salmon or filet mignon. I know that's very judgmental, but you also have to work with the tools you're given.
Sure,
Of course.
yeah.
Of
So
course.
you learn not only to speak to your audience, you learn how to deliver the message and how to make sure your audience receives it. You learn how to prioritize in what you're saying and how you're saying it. You learn a lot about interpersonal communication, about patience, I think that all the lessons you receive in the service industry are completely invaluable. And I think personally that everyone should have to do it.
Yeah.
I hate it, but I feel like I've already went through my gauntlet, after
You've paid
12
your
or
dues.
13 years.
Yeah, you
of
paid
putting in.
dues. for
So you're
sure.
that or the Army.
Yeah, but I go back at every job interview I've ever had. I always tell them, they always like, "Wow, you've seemed to achieve a lot at a young age." And I said, "Yeah, I feel like it's because I put in that 2.5 years at Maggiano's or whatever, or the Canning Club or whatever it is, because it seems invaluable completely."
Yeah. And I think that, and the reason that I asked that question is because I've also worked in the service industry pretty extensively throughout my life. And I've learned, like you said, just invaluable lessons that, you just from communicating with people, from understanding that, everyone's different. And like you said, when it's time to convey that message, some people are going to take it differently. So you kind of have to fill it out between people. And you kind of get that sense just working so long, and this person's going to be a pain in my butt. This person's going to be super cool. Like, this person doesn't even need me. They want their food and they want to leave, or, whatever the case is. And the reason that I said that, that you creating that freelance job was the most important one that I grabbed out of is just specifically for this audience, for people that are, entrepreneurs and they're looking to create something out of nothing. But at the same time, you really do have to have those skills that you are talking about, that you're referencing to from that in order to create that. So that's why I kind of wanted to ask you that question to kind of get the journey of how you spent so many years being this personal and learning communication skills and doing all this stuff, and that led you into creating your own job basically, and then to be where you are now. So I just kind of wanted to have that in there as a reference point for people who are younger people who are looking to be entrepreneurs. Like, if you don't necessarily have the skills, there's nothing wrong with going out there and getting it. And like you said, people, I feel like they should be required to do the service. I absolutely think it should be like a rite of passage, because you learn so much, and you network a lot more, and you just learn how to interact with people. And so when it comes down to you selling your own product, if you sold somebody else's steak and you sold it like to them, and you didn't even cook it, imagine if you cooked it, how well you're going to sell it to someone, and I feel that everything starts with a sell, and you really do learn how to just, get those communication barriers going, between people working in the service industry.
Well, that's what I was going to say too, is that you were talking about, you need the skills to build out your hustle, let's say, side hustle, regular hustle, whatever hustle. You do need some skills, but they don't always need to be the traditional skills that everyone, flaunts. So if you have interpersonal skills, if you have, you're good at speaking to people that you just met a moment ago. I think one of my best, most important skills that I learned throughout the years is creating a comfortable environment that nurtures trust between two people. So that's really that's what's led me to be successful, is that I can build a relationship quicker than most people can do a lot of other things.
Right.
I don't know.
No, I totally get that. I mean, that's a subsect of why I wanted to start this podcast anyway, because I do communicate with a lot of people on a day-to-day basis, especially now. Before, it was like nothing. I was just alone for hours working. But now, like, I'm doing a lot more, sales related stuff on the day to day, and like, I'm trying to start all these other small little things on my own, and the communication aspect is really important. But so I wanted to, start this podcast so we could like have opportunities to flex that muscle more and work it out and like get better at it. Because to be honest, like those years of me just being alone, almost like it like crushed my brain and into like like a small little ball, and it's like I have to like I'm still working on building it back, but
Stretch it.
I gotta flex my brain muscle.
It's your brain muscle. No, I think that communication and honesty are the biggest, most important parts of business development, and that's led to everything that I've been able to accomplish, I think, in my entire career, for sure. But
So why don't we round out where we're going with where'd you like did you finish?
I kind of finished. Did I
What
finish?
you know what? Where just to wrap it up with a nice little bow. Where are you at right now? What are you doing? You know?
Sure. Right now, I am the typical millennial in numerous senses. I don't know if you know, but millennials right now have a higher percentage of having a side hustle than any other generation prior to it. I think it's something like 43% of millennials have a side hustle.
Sure.
Which is really impressive.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is. Most people were totally fine with their hourly, their day-to-day job, and millennials are pushing it.
And you know what it is? Old people just won't die.
Yeah, and it's that we're so entitled that we think that we should have two jobs. We're entitled to more than one job.
Sure.
All valid points.
But so right now I've been with the same company for 5 years, and I've learned a crazy amount. I mean, I've not only have they given me a lot of tools that I'm going to use for the rest of my life, but I've also accomplished a lot there. I mean, I was responsible for the single largest day in the history of the company. in the way of orders, in the way of revenue, in the way of everything,
Sure.
which is really neat, and which is something I architected, and now I know very well, and I've architected numerous of those deals, and so it's really been a great learning experience. But the reality is, I need to maintain a challenge now. I've built this infrastructure for my life, where I need to be challenged, where I need to be constantly moving and learning and progressing, and I don't ever like it when I'm at the point where I'm learning from my own mistakes. I think that to be successful, you need to be leveraging your own experiences plus the experience of people around you,
Sure.
and learning from them. And so what I'm doing is I have way too many ideas. Chris, you talk about your ideas all the time with me. You have way too many fucking ideas.
I was gonna say.
And so I always feel in good company. But I kind of pursue a multitude of those ideas, but I'm not putting my all into it, just because I've had some serious difficulties in my personal life with my family that have made it so that I can't really devote too much to my quote side hustle.
Yeah.
But right now, I've kind of felt like my regular life was my side hustle, as interesting as that is, because of what I've been going through and because of the schedule I've been maintaining. So, it's what I'm doing right now is just clearing my throat. What I'm doing right now is trying to figure out what I'm passionate about, because I've been trained for the last, since I was selling shit on a sheet at a swap meet. Sure. I've been trained to make money. And everyone in my family has always just solidified that idea: make money, make money, make money. Do what makes you money. And I think that I've hit the point right now where I'm making money. That's not doing it for me. It's pretty clear to me that I need to be passionate about something. I need to enjoy it. I'm realizing that I'm not the 9-to-5er, because 9 to 5 isn't enough for me to explore and to create whatever opportunities I'm really passionate about.
Yeah.
So it's like, if I'm going to be doing something, I imagine I'm going to be doing, it's not going to be my side hustle. It's going to be my main hustle, my side hustle, my late night hustle, my early morning hustle.
Of course.
And so you really have to be able to devote your whole self to something. And that means you need to be passionate about it. You really need to truly enjoy it.
Yeah.
So I think I come from a different thing, whereas I don't want a side hustle. I want my main hustle that motivates me to constantly be hustling.
Sure.
And so that's what I'm looking for in my life right now.
Yeah, no, and then I think that's definitely the spirit of like what we're
doing
you
here,
know, what 5 o'clock hustle is all about. I don't think any of these people out there who's they're putting their their arts and crafts on Etsy. Like, do you think they're not doing it because
Supplemental income.
like I'm sure a very good portion of those
there's
people out there who are who have those side hustles would absolutely want that to be their main thing.
Yeah.
It's just
Well, it's hard when you can't devote the time and the resources into building your side hustle into your main hustle.
Yeah.
And that's probably a challenge that we all
that's the
deal with.
challenge.
Is we got to make the money,
and that's why
from our main thing. But
and that's why we definitely started this podcast, so we can get people shedding information like you presented, because we're taking all these little nuggets and then like stealing everyone's business souls and like creating this
It's like
amazing
Space Jam. We're
information.
taking everyone's powers and putting
Exactly.
them into this one
That's what I was
ball.
looking for. Space Jam, the fucking magical
The magical basketball with Charles
Chainz,
Barkley's
do your dance.
JoJo. No, man, but it's very interesting because it's like you said, you do want to eventually make that thing that you're side hustling for now. Everybody's working their 9-to-5s, and you're looking for that thing that really makes you happy. Like you said, you're embedded. Do what makes you happy, or do what makes you money. My family was more do what makes you happy. Not necessarily right. And it's ended up in kind of the same position. Like, we're in the same position, but just kind of reversed. Like, I'm making money doing my job now, but I'm not necessarily doing it. So it's different ways of thinking, but it also kind of leads you into the same pool where you're looking to, now I'm doing what makes me happy, but it's not making me money. Or now I'm doing what's making me money, but it's not making me happy. So then now we're both looking for that other thing, So for me, my personal thing right now is I'm making money, but it's not making me happy. And same with you now.
Yeah,
so it's like, we're kind of in the same boat. But I think what's interesting is that when you do find that thing that makes you happy, you, like you said, you can't necessarily do it within the confines of the schedule that you're in now. So you kind of have to make it a side hustle in order for it to become your actual hustle. And I think that it's just hard to kind of figure that out. So what are the steps that you're taking now to make the things that, well, I guess you said it, you know, you're trying to figure it out now. So what steps are you taking to figure it out? I guess I could ask.
My biggest problem is like I said, I always have too many ideas. And I know that's a silly thing to say, you have too many ideas, but it creates a lack of focus. And I've always felt like focus is integral to success. So I guess what I'm trying to do, well, you know, I had a conversation with my dad tonight, actually, and he can't really talk, so I just talk as much as I can. And it's really interesting because I learn things about myself, forcing myself to speak.
That's what I do with my wife. Like, I don't expect her to respond to all the crazy things I have to talk about, but like, I'm just like, just let me tell you this. Yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, I don't even know what I was gonna say.
You're talking to your dad.
Yeah, I was definitely talking to my dad, and I completely blanked out on that whole thing. I was laughing. I was thinking about your wife. And I was like, that's so funny.
It's like, poor girl, just listening to
Okay, repeat your question. I'm gonna get the
So
train of thought back.
basically what I was asking is, in this position that you're in, that I'm in, that our listeners are in, what steps are you taking in order to find what's making you happy?
Yes. Okay, so I was talking with my dad.
My wife.
He can't talk very well. And so while I was talking to him, I was telling him how I'm trying to plan my life and how I'm trying to plan my next steps and how I'm trying to gain focus. You just want to say my wife right now, don't you? You're just looking at me with like this pouty, weird, like red face. Like, I need to talk. I was telling him about how, you know, I keep trying to figure it out, right? That's what we're all trying to do with our side hustles. If the side hustle was what we really, truly felt was going to take off, if we were lucky enough to have the monetary means to just go with it, we would jump full in, but we don't know. So I'm telling him, I'm just talking, like, you know, I'm just like, hey, you know, I don't really know what I do. I know I want to be a writer. Like, I love writing. I love business. I'd like to impact the world like every other person in my millennial space. Apparently, social responsibility is like the big thing for us. Yeah. It is for me, for sure. And I want to do something that impacts the world and helps people. And as I'm saying all this bullshit to him, I just start realizing that everything good in my life and every serious progression to my career, to my love life, to my family life has been completely random and unexpected and unplanned. So while I'm sitting here trying to plan everything, nothing good has ever come of that. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's not fair. There are some good things that have come of it, but the major achievements and successes that I've been a part of and created have been completely at random, but with me open to opportunity. Okay. And so I think if you asked me the same question at about 4:30 today, I would tell you that I'm writing down a list of all my ideas, and I'm trying to figure out, I write business models all the time. So I'll think of an idea, I'll write out 10 pages of the whole business model. I'll write it out, I'll look through it, I'll try and tear it apart. Usually I can. Lasts for about 2 or 3 days, and then I've really torn it apart. Right. And there's no moving forward. But after 4:30 or 5 o'clock today, what I realized is that I think you just need to make yourself open for opportunity. And I think you need to, it's all about the universe, right? It's all about energy. I really like that, and I appreciate that. And if you put the right energy out there, they say the power of intention. You know, you put the energy out there, not necessarily that you need to control it, you need to know exactly what's coming, but be ready for it and be open to it. And I think that's one of the most important pieces of how you figure out what you're going to spend your time on for the rest of your life. Figure out what you want to devote yourself to, aside from our lovely wives. You know, and figure out what you want to do for the rest of your working life, right? Sure. Or what you don't want to do for the rest. I mean,
it's something that we spend, you know, half of our waking lives doing,
and the other half thinking about.
Yeah, right. It's really important to make sure you're dialed into something that makes sense doing, and you don't regret later.
Yeah. So if you don't mind, so like I was saying, like you and I are kind of reversed. So I look at it from my perspective as I found the thing that makes me happy, but I don't know how to make that thing make me money. Mm-hmm. And you know.
So what makes you happy?
Music.
Okay.
So I love doing music.
I know that. I just
music is the one thing that if like I just have money
You could start
coming in.
singing right now.
If I seriously, like if I didn't have to worry about money and I could just do something for like 10 hours, 12 hours a day, I would just do music, because it's where those creative ideas, like how you said, you have a bunch of ideas, and you kind of get jumbled. Like for me, I can get those ideas and I can go put them down on something and make it into a thing, you know? And it may not come out the best way that I want it, but I could always go back and rehash it and this and this and that. But then the part for me is, how do you get that part to make you money? And there's so many, examples of people who have done it.
Well, here's one way really quick. If anybody needs a music producer, go ahead and go to our website.
Speak on it.
And just, say, hey, I need some music. Dre's a great music producer. You can see some of his music on our website. And I just want you guys to really reach out if you really want some good music. You know where to go.
You know who to
so
holler
there's your
at.
start.
You need to holler. You know who to holler at. So not necessarily for myself, because I'm in the process of figuring that out. I'm just constantly just doing music, and in the process of putting it out, just any platform, whatever, and like you said, putting it out into the universe and seeing what I can get back, and just being open to whatever I get back. So I'm not necessarily looking to be the biggest producer. I'm not necessarily looking to be do movie scores. I'm whatever, give me something that I can do with music and I'm happy. But for the young person out there who has figured out at least they think they know what they want to do, not what they love, and not something that, their parents have pushed on them their entire life. Like, I want to be a doctor. It's my passion. Like, do you really? Like, is that what you wake up thinking about? Like, oh man, I can't wait to go in and just get a swab of someone's throat and see if they have strep, but like for the young kid who feels like they know exactly what it is that they want to do, but they just don't know how to translate that into a career, what would your advice to them be?
That's a really good question. One word: Google. Google it.
Yeah.
No, I know it's obviously a lot more difficult than looking it up on a search engine, but I think it's hard, because what you don't want to do is turn your passion into your job. Yeah. You can turn it into your career, but if you turn it into your job, I surfed for 10 years. I competed once and I stopped surfing for a long time because it turned something I loved into something I needed to do.
Right. Basketball for me, practice.
Yeah. So
made it not worth it.
I think the best possible answer I could give you that I've seen create success among other people that have turned their passion into their hustle and their passion is just really to surround yourself with like-minded people that also enjoy your passion, because I feel like you all need to make money, and somebody's going to have an idea about how to turn something they love into something that they love that supports them too.
Right.
And so that's what I've seen a lot of people do is really, take their passion and then just open it up to an environment that shares in their interests.
It just breeds more.
And a lot of times those people in that environment are already successful too, and they happen to love it.
Right.
And then you're going to get people in that same, pool that maybe they don't love what they're doing, but they're making a shit ton of money at it.
Right.
And then you end up being lucky because you get to take the best of both sides. You love what they're doing and what you're doing, and you can take their idea and make a bunch of money off it. So I think that's probably the lowest hanging fruit is just surrounding yourself with other
to the
people.
environment. Yeah.
Put other people around you that love to do what you love to do, or that seem to, or they do it well, or whatever it is. And then just keep your ears open and keep your I don't want to sound cliche, but keep your heart open.
Yeah. Look out for that next Eminem, because you never know when your opportunity comes.
Yes, for me, like, obviously I have a lot of those same, thoughts all the time when it comes to, like finding what you love to do and running with it. But like things like, the podcast, it'd be great to be a successful podcaster, but I'm not going to go out and say like, oh, this is going to be the most successful. Like that's just really silly thing to say, that this podcast, like I mean, if it does, it does. If it doesn't, like it probably won't.
Right. And thus the side hustle was created.
Right. But it's like you said, it's that platform for us to kind of flex that muscle.
Yeah, for me, it's exactly. It's that. And I've always felt like if I have a thing, I need to at least try to do it.
Yep.
And just throw it out there and see what the what the universe throws back at you. And that's kind of where I'm at when it comes to all that stuff. So I mean, hopefully, like one of these things catches.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point. What you said while I have it on my head. Sorry to cut you off, but
No, fine.
So I actually have a lot of people that come to me because they see my success in the business world and they want advice. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times I end up just giving it, even though I didn't think I could give it. I mean, I end up knowing a lot of the stuff. So maybe one of the best pieces of advice that I can give someone that has found out what they love doing and they're scared to pursue it is to just start pursuing it. Like you said, I mean, it actually, people get caught up in the strangest details ever. And it's so interesting what they let shut down their dream and their passion. I mean, I was talking to a guy 2 weeks ago. He wants to start a clothing company. It's within kind of the MMA world. And he was talking about how he didn't know how he would be able to figure out how to form an LLC. And after that, he didn't know, how he would get the rights to the artwork that he wanted to feature on his clothes. And after that, I just had him list out all of his issues that he had with his business model. And then I told him how easy it was to fix all of them. Yeah. And it was really simple. But he is so overwhelmed with everything that was shutting him down that he couldn't even see the light at the end of the tunnel, and it made him not even want to pursue it. So maybe that's another piece of advice I can give someone that has a really cool, fun, enjoyable idea that they really are passionate about, they want to pursue, is don't let what you consider the big hurdles stop you.
Sure.
And if you need help, reach out. Hey, reach out to this podcast. I mean, we'll ask some questions, and maybe that's what something turns into.
If you got questions for Dean, if you got questions for any of us, like I said, we're right there. I got some really cool forms I was telling Dean about on the new website. Yep. That you can send us any information you'd like.
Yep.
But what we were talking about, it reminds me of, I don't know if it's true or not, but there's this like statistic or a quote. I don't even if it qualifies as a statistic.
A quotistic.
A quotistic. That's we're trademark.
By the way, trademarks aren't expensive.
Trademarks.
Yeah, go ahead.
You just say trademark, right?
Trademark. That's it. Go ahead. Copyright.
No, but it's I've heard this from multiple places. Maybe it's because like it just, once somebody says like a thing now, like it goes everywhere. But it's like what 90% of the people who quit were like were right there. Like if they just kept going like a little bit more, they would have succeeded. Yeah. Like they quit right before they succeeded.
Have you seen that meme of like, so there's like it's a one picture above the other, and one's a guy just whacking at this dirt wall, just where he's got.
What's he using? Whacking.
He's using.
I didn't know if that was a whip.
Okay,
they were making a whipping motion.
He's got like an ice pick or whatever those things that they used to use.
That's a weird thing to whack with.
Yeah, well,
an ice pick.
Like a Navajo.
Like one of those.
Like I'm making you a cocktail ice pick,
no,
or
like a big ice pick that you're climbing the mountains with.
Okay,
yeah. Okay. But he's hitting this dirt and he's looking for diamonds, and on one he's hitting it, and he's nowhere near the diamonds. And the other one, there's a guy walking away, but he's got like a centimeter left. He's got one more hit until the diamonds are right there. So it's kind of like you're saying, like, you're at that opportunity, but you just stop swinging, while the other guy's up there, he's super far away and he's just whacking at it. And I should probably stop saying whacking at it.
Nah, man. We all been whacking.
That's a whacking.
Been whacking away for
you gotta
years.
whack to succeed.
But yeah, I just think it's a funny one.
Okay, well, this is, we can keep going if we want.
What time is it? How much beer do we have?
We've been going for about 50 minutes. You know what, Dean? You were talking before we were running this podcast. What's that? How you say that? Before we started recording
today.
Okay. We were talking about an idea that I had, and you said like it'd be a cool format for the podcast, and would we just talk about it? and
just talk about interesting ideas and build them out and see how easy or how difficult it is to expand on really good ideas.
Yeah, which would be a really cool, part. I think would be really cool to spend a couple minutes.
A cool segment of the
a segment. Why couldn't I think of that stupid word? I hear it 50,000 times a day. But anyways, I think it'd be. It's kind of. It's not very organic the way I'm approaching it right now, but So
let's just not talk about that idea we were talking about because I think it's a really good idea that I'd like.
Are you sure?
I want to pursue that with you.
Okay, well, shit.
No, it's a really good idea. Sorry, everybody, but
maybe next
you're
time.
not getting that
we
one.
can try another idea.
Okay.
It'll have to be a little.
Let's just make it a game, man. Let's make it a game.
Let's make it a game.
Name an idea. A cracker company. I just looked at crackers.
What is this, matzah?
No, these are. What are these? These are.
They're not a sponsor, by the way. So don't say
Jill's
it. Don't say it.
crackers
They're not a sponsor.
No. Look, Jill's, if you want to sponsor us, we're about to give you a free plug because I love your crackers. They are delicious, gluten-free crackers,
those from Whole
Mediterranean
Foods?
style with Italian herbs. Yeah, they're from Whole Foods.
Whole Foods is a trademark of Whole Foods Inc.
Owned by Jeff Bezos now. Amazon.
Oh yeah.
HOLE Foods. They're delicious crackers. If you would like to enjoy one, they're all. No, these are not sprouted.
All right, so let's take a cracker company. Maybe not.
Do we really want to do a cracker company? Okay, how about
Why not?
okay.
What's that weird thing? This thing you have in your hand?
This is a
FET
preamp called a FET
I
head.
don't even. It's way over my FET head. So.
I mean, I think it's kind of hard if it's not like a thing that we already said. Hey, that was a good idea. I don't think it could be like, hey, cracker company's a good idea, because I would be like, how do you make a cracker?
Oh, I know, but it's not about that. But so that's an interesting point, right?
Yeah.
So you're already nervous because you don't know how to make a damn cracker.
Sure.
But so let's talk about a cracker company because this is actually going to be kind of interesting. So for a cracker, what would you consider as the steps to creating? Let's say.
Well, first you got to make a delicious cracker, right?
No, at first you have to make a
there's
cracker.
a lot of
It
ways
doesn't
you
have
can
to
go
be
about
delicious
doing it.
just yet.
There's people who are cracker lovers and they just make. They just been making crackers their whole
I think
lives.
that's a slur.
And let's just be clear. Chris said that, not me.
And then there's what's the saltines company?
Premium.
Is it what it is? It's just premium.
Premium saltine
That
crackers.
was like the.
See,
I thought
that guy did not
Saltines-
love crackers.
Okay, I'm sorry. Wasn't Saltines the Saltines company and Premium's like the
No,
generic
I
brand?
think Trey's right. I think it's called
I
premium.
think it's premium.
Saltines are.
I think Nabisco probably owns them now.
Yeah, are you looking it up?
I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah,
Okay,
I could be looking
so you're
at it.
right. So first of all, you need to identify your market,
Right.
right? So that's what you're getting at is you need to find out if you're if you're pitching to the cracker lovers or you're pitching to Ritz and saltine liking people that don't really
what
care
I'm saying
about
is,
the.
I'm starting from I'm going back. I'm going further back in this thing.
It's
We could say
Nabisco. It's Nabisco.
Nabisco owns it, but Premium might have been the
But
original
Premium is
company.
the- yeah.
All right,
And Nabisco owns it because Nabisco owns like every snack food.
M&G just own everything.
Yeah, and like what?
Kraft actually owns a lot.
Kraft and
Oh, wait, is Kraft Nabisco?
P.
Kraft and Nabisco.
All right, so you're moving back. Go ahead.
I'm talking about the idea stage because I feel like we've been talking
Well,
about
isn't the idea
stage.
to
Well, the idea is to make crackers, but what I'm saying is like the person who's making the cracker, how did they come up with this idea? They could have been cracker lovers, making crackers their whole lives. Or they could have been, some corporate schmoes trying to make, just trying to make a buck by making a cracker.
Or he could be a dude who just bought a piece of land that's got a shit ton of weed on it.
wait. Why don't we just assume that we're us?
Are we
figuring
cracker
out-
making? Are we, or do we just have a lot of money that we want to invest
we're
in
us.
a
We have
cracker
a lot of
company?
money.
No,
do
no.
anything.
Okay, so this is what happened.
Okay, we're us right
Listen,
now.
listen.
Okay, okay.
Wait,
okay.
let me
I see what
scenario
you're
it. Let me scenario it. Okay.
We're three dudes.
We're
Jeff
Bezos. We want to make crackers.
We're sitting at Dean's
someone to
house
make
in
crackers.
Oak Park, California, right? And we make insane dip, right? Like we have this insane
We
dip.
made the dip?
Say artichoke dip, or say we bought this insane
Spanish
dip.
artichoke, yeah.
So we bought this insane spinach artichoke dip, but we also bought like these like rice crackers to put them on, right?
No.
We decide, you know what?
You know-
We need a cracker.
We're all opening cans right now.
Yeah, we're opening the cans up.
Velvia, what's that?
Zevia?
Sativa.
So as we're eating this
Stevia.
amazing freaking
Zevia.
artichoke dip, we're like, man, these crackers just aren't cutting it. We need a better cracker to go with this artichoke dip.
By the way, we don't smoke weed. It sounds
It
like
sounds
a
like
weed
we
story.
smoked a
Like,
bunch
we're
of
like, oh
weed.
man, this dick's
Like,
so
weed
good.
is-
We need a cracker.
So with all that, we decide, hey, let's try and make the best cracker in the world. We make one that we think is pretty close, and now we want to give it to the world. What do we do?
So we fully past the R&D stage. We're not testing crackers for
No.
a period of
We
time?
hit it once, bro. We hit it once. Dumb luck. Like, we're like,
Dumb luck made the cracker.
I mean, if it was me, like I would.
that's tough. I would say we just skipped a big portion of this.
Yeah,
deal.
because you need that. You got to go through like some
Okay,
feedback,
we spent-
especially
we
with
spent-
the food item. I
we
feel
We
like.
had a party.
we had a party.
We built. We
Our
made
moms
3
tried
different
it.
types of crackers.
Our moms tried it.
I'm talking farmers markets. You know, hit the farmers market. Route. What is it?
So
Then you need
so
to
now
couple
we're
with like a cheese company.
we're missing valuable steps here. So
Yeah, product line
yeah.
variations. We need more than one. We can't just sell one cracker. We're not Nabisco.
We can at first.
You want to be Nabisco off the jump? Like
we
that?
want to sell to Nabisco. We want Nabisco to buy us out.
Okay, so
We want Nabisco to manufacture our crackers.
we want to I just want to dial it back again. We're gonna make a cracker. Okay.
Us.
How do we go about making this? How would you, Dean? How would you
Well,
start making
there's
a cracker?
2 ways. In Dre's scenario, we sound like we were really looking for that organic feel. Like we want to actually create. We have an idea for a cracker. So what I'd probably do, man, that stuff does not laugh too. What I would probably do is surveying the market. Again, I'm the person that wants to build off other people's experience. I want to leverage other people's successes.
Sure.
So I'm going to look around at the market and I'm going to taste 100 crackers.
Okay.
And I'm going to, not 100, that's really way too many crackers.
Just all the crackers that.
Yeah, I'll taste 5 or 10 different crackers. I'm going to figure out what I like about each of the different crackers. You know, I'll look at the ingredients. I'm going to see what makes it appealing for me. What is the part of the product that I like? What don't I like? Is it the shape? You know, is the shape something that's interesting to me? Does it change the effect that the cracker is having in my mouth? Does the thickness matter? Does the crunch aspect? Does everything like that matter? You know?
Love me a thick cracker, bro.
Yeah, love me a thick cracker. So that would be the first thing I would do is a kind of a competitive analysis, but it's more in the R&D phase than it is in the go to market stage, which is figure out what you like in competitive product.
Sure.
Because you can't, it'd be really easy for me to say this cracker's not doing it, but it's not really easy for me to say which cracker is doing it. So that's where you need to go out and find like what it is that you actually enjoy. What are the aspects of any product that you think are good that would fill this demand that you have?
Sure.
Because it's kind of like a self-demand at this point. You've realized that you have demand for a product and you need to fill that gap.
Absolutely.
So you figure that out. You kind of chart out what ingredients you like, and then you go to the lab. And again, trying to make something that is over complicated, generally speaking, more simpler. There are labs. There are labs that you can go to create food.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't even understand that. There's real simple stuff. I mean, to make liquids, to make foods, to make process anything, to make everything that you can just go to labs. There are probably 100 labs in any given city that you have no clue exist. Or there's one lab that covers most of this stuff because they're a bunch of like chemists and they know how to break down elements and different ingredients. I mean, so if you have your 5 most favorite crackers and the aspects of them, you could literally take the ingredients to one of these labs and say, here's what I want my cracker to be.
Sure.
And this cracker ass lab is going to make you a cracker. And they come up with a cracker for you. And you taste test it until it's right. So it's like even a cracker where someone would think like, damn, I can never make a cracker.
Right.
You can make
Sure.
a cracker. It's not
I feel
that
like,
hard. I mean, it really,
It's a cracker.
It's not that difficult.
I mean, like if you look at this Jill's crackers again, it's only what 8 ingredients in this thing.
Yeah, and it's all. And again,
Yeah.
if you talk about a company that knows how to make a cracker, they know how to apportion the ingredients to proportion the ingredients to make sure that the consistency is what you want it to be. And obviously, you need to like bake it and shape it. And
I think if it was me, I would do something similar, but I would be a little bit more grassroots with it in the beginning and try it myself and make the cracker myself. Like
Interesting.
The reason being is because like if I make something that tastes good, I think at that point is when I would go to the lab and say, hey, what did I do? Because there's no way that
What's
I'd
the
be
formula?
able to,
Yeah.
there's no way I'd be able to kind of replicate. I could do the best I can, but they're going to be able to probably shed a lot more light on that.
Yeah.
And again, like, I don't know.
Well, it's an
This is-
interesting approach. It's
Yeah.
your two different approaches. Mine's going to cost more money and less time. Yours is
Right.
going to take a lot more time, and you're still going to end up spending the money on the back end. But you are truly, like you said, you're grassroots. You are organic. You are from the
Because
absolute
I'd like to
ground
say
up.
that I could sell this to my local community, and then I think that's why I kind of want to go that route because I'd want to before I invest in some labs and scientists.
They're
to,
really
like,
not that
pick it
expensive,
apart.
by the way.
I have no idea.
I'm telling you,
that's really
that's
interesting.
That's why I'm trying to like.
I don't know.
I'm going to segue really hard right now.
Sure.
I've been doing a lot of projects around my house. From installing tile floors to knocking down walls to whatever it is.
Yeah.
And before a year ago, I had never been in an attic of a home. Ever. I had no idea what it looked like. I was clueless. I figured it was like this crazy maze of wood and insulation and spiders and whatever the hell it is. And you get up there and it's just like a bunch of 2x4s that are all lined up really nice and neat. And it's easy to navigate through. But once you take the mystery out of something, it starts to make sense. It's a lot less scary and you can then go after whatever it is you want to pursue.
Sure.
So just like this, like you just said right now, I don't want to spend the money on a lab. $250 will probably get you a formula.
Okay.
So it's lab by lab, and a lot of them would offer different options. A lot of the labs are also associated with different packaging companies and different things like that too. So this is just stuff people don't know until you've actually pursued it. I mean, I went to
That's
go.
cool.
Yeah, I was with someone. We were looking at creating, and I'll share this idea because I'm not going to pursue it right now.
Yeah.
We
Unless
were
anybody
looking-
wants to throw some money at it.
Yeah, no, go ahead. It was interesting and we liked it. I just had stuff come up and I had to stop doing it. And now I'm not really into it anymore. But
Sure.
we were looking at like a supplement for dog water.
Okay.
And there's a few of them out there.
Like
None of them-
vitamin water, but for dogs.
Yeah,
Essentially?
exactly. Well, that's kind of what spurred it for me is that I'm watching all these people add all this different crap to their water and not really knowing if it's good for the people or not. I know like you can add like that one little weird teardrop looking thing that makes your water colorful and supposedly I know that like emergency is cool. Like I feel like that works based on the I don't know.
Well,
I
dude,
like it
I
does.
can go into so many supplemental type things.
Yeah.
I'm fucking crazy.
But so I figured
Sure,
I love dogs. My wife loved dogs. I think
Uh-huh.
the market's really cool. It's prime for some new fun stuff. There's a bunch of different stores. I mean, if there's a type of retail store that's actually doing decently well, it's still opening new stores. It's pet stores.
Yeah.
Because there's just so much inventory. People don't know, and they're more sensitive about their pet than they are about their kids a lot of the time. So they still go. So what I wanted to do is build out a supplement for water that does numerous things. One, it's just really the low hanging fruit would be freshening dog's breath. Apparently, they do that mostly with chlorine, which is gross. I've tried. I taste tested it. It's disgusting. I actually it was really bad. But that's if you get something like a product that freshens your dog's breath. If you ever look at the ingredient, one of them, like the main one's chlorine. It's gross. Or it's some sodium chlorate, but it ends up tasting like chlorine.
Sure. Yeah.
It's terrible.
But so I was looking at creating this product, and it was really fun and interesting. But it made me, since I was actually pursuing it, and I'm not a little bitch, and I like to pursue things, and I want to go further than 90%, which I only went 90% this time. But
Yeah.
I went out and I started talking to people. I happened to have a really good contact that was he led some of the operating team and management for fulfillment for Johnson & Johnson.
Oh wow, yeah.
So I started talking
It's
to
another
him
Nabisco.
and picking his brain. That's the other thing. Pick everyone's brain that you think may have some experience. Started picking his brain. And he goes, yeah, man, I actually have a lab in Encino, which is local to us over here in the valley in San Fernando Valley in California. And he says, I have a lab in Encino that you can just bring them anything. And they'll basically reverse engineer it. Don't give them a brand name thing, but maybe give them an ingredient they can reverse engineer it. They can build it out. And then they're affiliated with, exactly. they won't touch that. They're not stupid either. But then they're also either they own or they're affiliated with a packaging company because they know what everyone, it's obvious their business model is just as good as anyone that we're trying to create. Right. They're like, well, wait, what the hell do we do if someone breaks down an ingredient? They obviously want to put it in something.
Sure.
So they have packaging options too. And that was, I think, $500. It was $200 for a lab analysis. There's another $500 to run through the entire process, to have them build you out a formula based on whatever your specifications are, to give you a working model of it, and then to run you through all the different packaging items.
Yeah.
So it's not that complex. It's scary because it's mysterious.
Right.
And that's the issue
And
with a lot of
people think it's going to be 5,000 as opposed to 500.
So therefore they go, oh, I can't afford $5,000. I can't invest in a lab, says Chris. Sure you could. I think you have $250 for all the fucking mics you just spent for tonight's podcast. Sell one of them and you can go get a lab.
And
so
just
that's
back on that, I don't mean to interrupt you, but back on the point of the dog thing, interesting concept. Why do they put on the packaging bacon cheddar bites? Have you ever tasted one of those?
Bacon.
But they don't. Dogs can't read,
it's
and it
bacon.
doesn't taste like bacon.
We think dogs love bacon.
Okay, but dogs can't read, and those things don't taste like bacon. So who are they trying to fool?
It looks like bacon. Yeah. They're not selling to the dogs.
It says bacon cheddar. Well, that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's like I tasted it. Doesn't taste like bacon and cheddar.
You tasted it?
Yeah.
That's gross, bro.
Wait, what did you didn't taste? If you've tasted the bacon, have you tasted the bacon strips?
Yeah.
It's not bacon. It's bacon.
It's bacon strips.
It's bacon.
It's bacon.
Those you're right. Those don't taste like bacon.
They're trying to fool us, man.
It's like Play-Doh plus bacon flavor.
What they don't realize is dogs will just eat anything anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah. That doesn't matter. They're just selling us.
But it's like you said. It's like you said. It's the packaging. It's that whole thing.
No, dude, Duffy doesn't have a credit card.
Right.
You know
exactly.
Daddy's got a credit card.
Pops, look here. Look here. No, but that's just
bacon. Yeah. But so anyways, I think that breaking down the mystery of a product is probably you need to keep that into.
That's a cool. Yeah.
So for a cracker, after you build the product, which is not nearly as difficult as most people think it is, then you move on to. Well, should we save this?
I think what.
It's probably
I think that's a good nugget to think about for everyone whoever listens to this to take from it. Try to find. I think the tough part is, they might not know the equivalent of what that is, or what the lab might be, for whatever it is they're making.
Yeah.
I think that's a tough, but like you said, there's Google out there. If you search enough, you will find something that's like.
Dude, there's 5 o'clock hustle, bro.
Yeah,
just
right.
ask.
Exactly.
Just ask. We know a lot about a lot, and we
lot
also
about a lot.
don't know a lot about a lot, but we can figure it out. If you need help figuring it out, just hit up the hustle.
Yeah, absolutely. And man, this is our longest episode ever, but
we've gone over some time for sure.
but it's freaking.
It is what it is, man. There's no time limit on value.
There's no time limit.
The hustle keeps flowing.
The hustle don't stop
Hustle and flow.
until 9 o'clock when you gotta go back to work.
I go at 7.
Well, yeah. I don't.
Yeah,
I think that's a good point to stop everything and.
I just wanna
What do you want to do?
interject. Not interject, but I just want to say, or just ask you: is there anything that you want to give to the people? Not necessarily like an idea or whatever, but just insights or just like a motivational type thing that you found that has kind of gotten you through and kind of helped you when you didn't want to go get up and go do it. Just like a small little nugget just to people, just to say like, hey,
The last,
it's the last
send
little
off.
hoorah.
Send them off with something.
Send them off with something.
You can even rehash something that you've already said or whatever.
Or quote.
A quote. What's
that
your
you like,
favorite
something like
quote?
that.
Do you have a favorite
Rap
quote?
lyric.
Do you have a favorite book?
Dude, I wrote some lyrics for a country song recently.
Oh yeah.
You want to hear
Bomb.
that?
Let's
Yeah.
hear it. Let's hear it.
Are we doing it
Let
live?
me pull it out here.
Doing it live.
This is a
So
5
that's
o'clock
my-
hustle
okay, so that's-
exclusive.
So that's my new thing lately is I've been writing lyrics for country songs,
Okay.
and I've never even liked country up until my
Until I
wife
was an
my
adult.
wife likes country, country.
Yeah, my wife does.
Yeah,
too.
and so I'm liking country, but I told her the other day, and I didn't want to tell her because she's gonna hold it against me. But I was like, I gotta tell you, I'm kind of liking country, and she's like, what? And I'm like,
So
yeah,
excited.
I'm liking it. And she goes, why? And I didn't really expect her to ask that question. And then I thought about it, and I was like, because it's one of the only things where you can just tell like an exaggerated though wholesome story,
Yeah.
and you tell this really clean
to me,
story.
To
and
me,
it's
like drive story the hardest out of almost all musical genre. I don't know.
yeah.
I just
and
feel
you can
like
be lame and like corny and all that shit. And nobody cares. Like
it depends. I mean, every genre has that thing. But
Every
like,
genre has
I
its
feel
own
like
genre.
I feel like because like most country singers aren't necessarily the best singers in the world, they have to
They
be able
have
to tell a
to
story.
tell the story, and they have to be able to sell the story.
Yeah.
Exactly. Nah, I think country is. I love country music, and I didn't really get into it until, like Dean said, my wife. I mean, I listened to it just because I grew up in a musical family,
Yeah.
and my dad would always say, "Listen to the lyrics, listen to what they're saying, as opposed to how they're saying it or how they're singing it. Listen to what they're saying," and that was always the thing that.
I don't know. I honestly don't remember when I started liking country. I just like it now.
Yeah, it's a good genre, man.
all right, you guys ready for this?
Yeah,
Let's
we're
do it.
ready.
I'm just gonna
Bring
give you the
the
hook. Okay. I
You
don't know
gotta
what
sing
it's
it.
called.
Sing it.
I'm gonna sing it.
Sing it, bro.
All right. You may be the boss and you may have all the class, but I swear to God, on my Chevy and my dog, if you say one more thing, I'll kick your ass.
Hey,
Hey.
That's it right
that's
there.
a country hit. Don't none of you motherfuckers steal it. Me and Dean are producing it
Or if you just want to throw some money at it to get it.
to get right.
If you want to hear the verses,
exactly. Hey, if
me.
you want more, get Dean them credits. Give him his money.
Well, thanks a
He'll
lot.
provide you that song.
Well, thanks a lot, Dean, for coming on. We
Yeah, man,
really
appreciate
hope
it.
that you are you become a part of this whole thing. I don't. We can edit this part out, but you can like honestly like if you want to like fucking do this forever
I'm in.
until
Let's go.
It's just good conversation, man.
it just
and
doesn't happen.
The more people we have, the
Hang out
more
with my
flowy.
friends, share some experience, and sing country at the end of it. I'm fucking
Yeah.
in.
Have a
That's
beer or
a
two.
that's a segment now. You have to have a new
With
verse
country.
Oh, bro,
every
I can hit you
week.
off.
No, I have
can
eight. You want to
hit
hear
you out.
another one?
next time. Save it for next time.
All right.
I have,
All right,
I have an
everyone.
entire country song that my dad and I wrote and produced together that I can play you right now.
You know what?
Save it.
You edit this episode, put it on the end of the episode.
Got it.
What's it called?
It's called My Truck.
My truck.
It has to be.
Oh, so many trucks. Trucks are just great.
It's all about trucks. Like slide on over in
Men
my
need
truck.
trucks.
Men need truck, and I don't have
My
one.
truck.
I have an SU truck.
I have a, I have a crossover truck.
Okay. Thanks a lot, everybody, for listening.
Thank you.
Go go to our new website at 5o'clockhustle.com. That's with a number 5. Yeah, you can find all our social media there. Sign up for the newsletter, and listen to all the episodes. Thanks a lot for listening.